The city hummed around me, a symphony of yellow cabs, distant sirens, and the muffled chatter of sidewalk diners. But all I heard was the optimistic thrumming of my own heart. I, James, at 32 years old, felt a rare, almost childish flutter of excitement as I stepped out of the Uber onto the polished granite of the Pinnacle. This wasn't just any restaurant. It was a cathedral of cuisine, perched atop one of Manhattan's gleaming skyscrapers, its reputation as exclusive as its prices. Tonight, it was the backdrop for a blind date. My blind date. Normally, I'm not one for grand gestures or even grand expectations, especially when it comes to romance. As an architectural designer, my world revolves around blueprints, structural integrity, and the meticulous precision of bringing ambitious visions to life. My life is orderly, focused, and, dare I say, a touch predictable. My friends often tease me for being too sensible, too engrossed in the elegant logic of a cantilevered beam to bother with the messy complexities of modern dating. But then came Clara. My well-meaning friends, bless their persistent hearts, had sworn up and down that she was the one, an absolute catch. And when they finally showed me her photos, even my sensible self had to admit she was stunning. Not just conventionally pretty, but truly captivating. A cascade of rich, dark hair, eyes that sparkled with intelligence, and a smile that promised laughter. She looked vibrant, confident, the kind of woman who commanded attention without even trying. My anticipation, a feeling I hadn't genuinely felt in years, had built into a quiet hum of eagerness. This wasn't just a date. It felt like a promising start to something real, something truly exciting. I'd chosen my outfit with unusual care. A charcoal suit, perfectly tailored, a crisp white shirt, and a subtle silk tie. No flashy accessories, nothing ostentatious, just quiet confidence. I arrived at the Pinnacle a solid 15 minutes early, a testament to my punctuality and, I admit, my eagerness. The maitre d', a man whose disdain for anything less than perfection was legendary, greeted me with a polite, if slightly scrutinizing nod. "Mr. Thorne, your table is ready." He led me to a prime table by the panoramic window, offering breathtaking views of the city lights beginning to twinkle like scattered diamonds below. The soft jazz music, the clink of silverware, the murmur of sophisticated conversations. It all conspired to create an atmosphere of effortless romance. I ordered a sparkling water, wanting a clear head, and settled in, my gaze drifting occasionally to the entrance, a pleasant warmth spreading through me. I imagined Clara walking in, her smile brightening the room, our conversation flowing easily as we discovered shared interests, perhaps even a shared passion for good design. I allowed myself to dream a little, to hope. 6 p.m. She'll be here any minute. 6:15 p.m. Traffic, probably. This is Manhattan, after all. 6:30 p.m. Maybe she had a last-minute call. She seemed like a busy professional. 6:45 p.m. Okay, a little late, but no big deal. Patience, James. The maitre d' passed by, offering a polite refill of my water. I forced a reassuring smile. The other diners, initially just background noise, started to become more noticeable. A couple across the room exchanged knowing glances, a discreet whisper. Was it about me? My solo vigil? The warmth in my chest began to curdle, replaced by a faint prickle of unease. 7 p.m. My phone lay on the table beside me, unmoving. I checked it again, no messages. I considered calling. No, don't seem desperate. Give her space. 7:15 p.m. I couldn't help it. I dialed her number, the one my friends had given me. It rang once, twice, then went straight to voicemail. Maybe her phone died, I tried to convince myself. Or she's in a dead zone in the elevator. 7:30 p.m. I tried again. Voicemail. My stomach gave a nervous lurch. The maitre d' passed by again, his smile now a little tighter, a hint of concern mixed with something less pleasant. A waiter cleared a nearby table with an unnecessary amount of clatter. I could feel the subtle shift in the restaurant's energy. I was becoming that guy. The guy who got stood up at the pinnacle. My initial excitement was steadily eroding, replaced by a creeping wave of humiliation. The elegant logic of my architectural world felt miles away. This was messy, unpredictable, and frankly, deeply embarrassing. I kept checking my watch, the minutes stretching into an eternity. Each tick felt like a little hammer blow to my fragile optimism. 8 p.m. Another call. Voicemail. I tried a text. "Hi, Clara. Just checking in. Hope everything's okay. Still here at the pinnacle." I typed it carefully, trying to sound casual, not desperate. 8:30 p.m. No reply. The sparkling water in my glass looked dull. The city lights outside seemed to mock me, twinkling on without a care. The initial prickle of unease had blossomed into a full-blown ache of disappointment. The whispers from other tables seemed louder, more pointed. The waitstaff avoided my eyes. I felt a profound sense of awkwardness settle over me, heavy and suffocating. 9 p.m. The restaurant manager, a tall, impeccably dressed man with an air of dignified authority, finally approached my table. His politeness was now thin, stretched, taut. "Mr. Thorne," he began, his voice low, "I regret to inform you that your reservation is running quite late. Would you care for anything else, or perhaps we could set you up with a later seating?" His tone was professional, but his eyes held a clear message. "You're holding up a prime table, and your date isn't coming." The weight of public embarrassment crushed me. My face flushed hot. There was no point in pretending anymore. I had been stood up, horribly, unequivocally stood up. "No, thank you," I said, my voice surprisingly steady, despite the tremor in my hands. I forced the apologetic smile. "I'm so sorry for the inconvenience. It seems my date won't be joining me." I pulled out my wallet, ready to pay for the water, but the manager waved it away. "No charge, Mr. Thorne. Please allow us to offer you something for your trouble." I didn't want charity. I just wanted to disappear. "Actually," I said, trying to regain some semblance of dignity, "could I just get a small order to go? Something light?" It was a pathetic excuse, a feeble attempt to justify my continued presence, to leave with at least something from this disastrous evening. The manager nodded, and I waited for what felt like an eternity, the eyes of the entire restaurant burning into my back. I counted. I truly did. 30 desperate calls to Clara's number, each one met with the cold, impersonal voice of her voicemail. Not a single text back. Nothing. Finally, a small, neatly packed bag was placed in front of me. My dignity felt equally small, equally packed away. I offered a final mumbled apology to the manager, feeling the collective gaze of the restaurant on my retreating back. I clutched the takeout bag like a lifeline, a tangible symbol of my utter humiliation. As I stepped out of the restaurant's revolving doors into the cool New York night, the weight of the city descended upon me. The vibrant energy felt mocking now, the bright lights glaring down on my solitary figure. The crisp evening breeze carried not the promise of romance, but the bitter taste of rejection. I just wanted to get home, crawl into bed, and forget this entire excruciating evening. But life, I was about to learn, had one last, brutal twist in store for me. And it was about to hit me like a speeding train. The cool night air of New York, which had felt so refreshing moments ago, suddenly turned sharp and acrid. I clutched my takeout bag, a pathetic trophy of my failed evening, and tried to melt into the shadows of the skyscraper. My only goal was to reach my apartment, drown my humiliation in bad TV, and pretend the last 3 hours never happened. But fate, it seemed, had a cruel sense of timing. Just as I reached the curb, a sleek, expensive sports car, all low-slung menace and throaty roar, screeched to a halt beside me. The tires kicked up a pungent cloud of rubber smoke, enveloping me in its acrid haze. My heart leaped into my throat. Had I stumbled into a street race, a drug deal? Then, the passenger window, tinted almost black, hummed down. And there she was. Clara. The same captivating face from the photos, but now twisted into a mask of pure, unadulterated contempt. A haughty smirk played on her lips, a predatory gleam in her eyes. My stomach plummeted. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. Behind the wheel, an arrogant-looking, flashy young man chuckled, his eyes hidden behind expensive sunglasses, even in the dim light. His arm was casually draped over the back of Clara's seat, a proprietary gesture. My presumed rival, now confirmed. Well, 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 Clara purred, her voice dripping with mockery, amplified by the sudden, eerie silence of the street. It was a voice that was supposed to be sweet, alluring, not laced with such venom. Her eyes, those captivating eyes, raked over me, from my perfectly tailored suit to my ridiculous takeout bag, with an undisguised disdain. Look what the cat dragged in. I froze. My mind, usually quick to analyze and strategize, sputtered. Humiliation, which I thought had reached its peak inside the restaurant, found a new, deeper level. What an idiot, she sneered, her words cutting sharper than any blade. She leaned out the window slightly, her smirk widening. You seriously thought someone as hot as me would ever date a simple architectural designer making $40,000 a year? The number hit me like a physical blow. 40,000. It was so specific, so utterly, devastatingly wrong. It was the entry-level salary of an intern, not a seasoned professional running his own firm. But her casual dismissal, her utter contempt for what she thought was my income, was what truly stung. She hadn't bothered to learn anything about me. Not a thing. I was just a number, a disposable placeholder. You should have known better, loser, she spat, her tone a final, definitive dismissal. The arrogant driver beside her chuckled again, a low, grating sound. My cheeks burned. The humiliation was so profound, so public, it was almost surreal. The sophisticated street, the gleaming cars, the distant city hum, it all faded into a blurry backdrop for this singularly cruel moment. I stood there, rooted to the spot, a deer caught in headlights, clutching my takeout. The arrogant driver, her presumed boyfriend, unbuckled his seatbelt. He was clearly ready to join in the mockery, his condescending smirk already fixed on his face. He began to step out of the car, stretching leisurely, preparing for his moment in the sun, ready to underscore Clara's brutal assessment of me. My vision narrowed. The world seemed to slow. I saw his expensive shoes hit the pavement, his designer jeans, the casual slump of his shoulders. His head tilted up, his hand reaching for the roof of the car. He glanced at me, his eyes lazy, dismissive, ready to deliver the punchline. And then, his gaze sharpened. His eyes, though still shaded by the dying light and what I now realized were designer eyeglasses, widened. The condescending smirk vanished, wiped clean from his face as if by an invisible hand. His jaw went slack. The casual slump of his shoulders straightened, as if he'd just been shocked by a jolt of electricity. "Cousin James," he stammered, his voice utterly devoid of its earlier arrogance, replaced by raw, unadulterated shock. He didn't just recognize me. He knew me by name. And the term he used, cousin? Clara, who had been basking in her moment of triumph, froze mid-smirk. Her confident expression dissolved into utter bewilderment, then a flicker of confusion as she watched her boyfriend's reaction. "What did you say, Liam?" she snapped, clearly annoyed by his sudden stammering. "What's going on?" Liam, however, was no longer looking at Clara. His eyes were fixed on me, wide with a mixture of disbelief and growing horror. He took another step out of the car, then another, almost stumbling. "James, is that really you?" He looked me up and down, his gaze taking in my suit, the restaurant behind me, my takeout bag. "What are you doing here?" The tables had turned with a swift, brutal force. The air, which had been thick with Clara's contempt, was now charged with Liam's dawning, catastrophic realization. It became instantly clear. Clara had merely seen me as a disposable plaything, a quick, easy target for a cruel joke. She had been too shallow to bother learning anything about me. She hadn't called me, hadn't researched me, hadn't even given me a second thought beyond the superficial details her friends had likely fed her. A supposed architectural designer with an apparently paltry income. She hadn't even listened properly to my friends, who were well aware of my actual standing. Liam's presence, his undeniable recognition, tore a gaping hole in Clara's carefully constructed narrative. Her face, which had been so haughty moments ago, now contorted into a mask of utter bewilderment, then creeping dread. She looked from Liam to me, her eyes darting frantically, trying to piece together the shattered fragments of her cruel prank. "Liam, what are you talking about?" Clara demanded, her voice rising in a frantic pitch. "Who is this cousin James?" Liam ignored her, his eyes still fixed on me. "Cousin James," he repeated, almost reverently, a sheen of sweat appearing on his forehead. You're here, at the Pinnacle. What happened to your date?" He glanced at my takeout bag, then at the restaurant, putting the pieces together with a horrified speed. "My date," I said, my voice calm, flat, but with an underlying steel I hadn't known I possessed. "It appears, decided to stand me up, and then, conveniently, pull up in front of me to tell me I'm a loser because I only make $40,000 a year." I let the words hang in the air, weighted with irony. Liam's face went from pale to ghostly white. He swallowed hard. "Clara," he hissed, his voice low and urgent, laced with terror. "What have you done?" He grabbed her arm, trying to pull her back into the car, trying to shut her up. "Get in!" Now. But Clara, still reeling, yanked her arm free. "What did I do? What is going on, Liam? Who is he?" Her voice was shrill, tinged with panic. Liam, realizing the cat was entirely out of the bag, ran a shaky hand through his perfectly coiffed hair. He looked at me, a desperate plea in his eyes. He knew the whole, embarrassing, devastating truth. It was then that I decided to deliver the final blow, the absolute truth, laid bare. "Liam's right, Clara," I said, my voice cutting through her mounting hysteria. "I am Cousin James." I took a step closer, my gaze unwavering. "And you're right about one thing. I am an architectural designer. But you seem to have missed a few zeros in my presumed salary." Her eyes narrowed, trying to parse my words. Liam looked ready to faint. "My income," I continued, each word delivered with precision, like a perfectly placed structural beam, "isn't $40,000 a year. It's $40 million." I saw her eyes widen, her mouth slightly agape. "That's because I'm not just an architectural designer. I'm the founder and CEO of Thorne and Associates, the firm that designed half the skyscrapers you can see from this very restaurant, including the one we're standing under, the one the Pinnacle is in." A flicker of recognition, then abject horror, dawned on her face. Her jaw, which had been slack with arrogance, now hung open with genuine shock. Liam whimpered, looking like he wanted the ground to swallow him whole. "And as for Liam calling me Cousin James," I continued, letting a slow, cold smile spread across my face, a smile utterly devoid of warmth. Well, that's because I'm also the discreet heir to the Thorn Construction Group. I paused, letting the magnitude of that sink in. Thorn Construction Group, the multi-billion-dollar conglomerate that literally builds cities, that likely owned the very building we were standing in, the one that was probably one of the largest clients of Ethan's family. Clara gasped, a pathetic, strangled sound. All the color drained from her face. Her eyes, filled with disdain moments ago, were now pools of naked terror and desperate regret. She looked at Liam, then back at me, then at the sleek sports car, which suddenly seemed to shrink under the weight of her catastrophic misjudgment. She had just publicly humiliated the man who could, with a single phone call, buy and sell her entire world. The tables had not just turned, they had been flipped over and set on fire. Liam, now mortified beyond words, pulled Clara's arm, urging her back into the car. "Clara, just get in." "I'm so sorry, Cousin James. I had no idea. She didn't know. She just—" he stammered, his usual arrogance replaced by a pleading, pathetic tone. Clara's face, now devoid of all color, contorted in a desperate attempt to apologize. "James! Oh my God! James! I am so sorry! I didn't know! I swear! Liam didn't tell me! I just thought— you look so— normal. I just assumed." She tried to reach for my arm, her words tumbling out in a frantic, unconvincing torrent. The haughty smirk was gone, replaced by a desperate, simpering smile, quickly followed by outright tears. She was trying to flirt, to charm, to salvage something from the wreckage of her monumental miscalculation. I simply looked at her, my expression cold and unyielding. There was no joy in her distress, only a profound sense of disappointment. The humiliation of the past few hours, the agonizing wait in the restaurant, the cutting remarks, it all evaporated, outweighed by the stark reality of her character. She wasn't just rude, she was fundamentally cruel, her judgment based purely on what she perceived as my low economic value. The thought, clear and unwavering, settled in my mind. I will never forgive her, not for the public shaming, but for the casual, arrogant dismissal of another human being. Liam, looking like a teenager caught vandalizing a national monument, kept muttering apologies, trying to pull Clara back into the car. He was terrified, not for her, but for himself and the consequences of her monumental blunder. He knew what kind of power I wielded, what names were connected to mine. Without another word, without a glance back, I turned my back on the now panicked Clara and her mortified boyfriend. The screech of their tires as they sped off into the night was a fittingly dramatic exit for such a shallow, fleeting encounter. I walked away, the cool air feeling like a cleansing balm on my still-burning cheeks. The late-night meal, still warm in its takeout bag, was no longer just a pathetic consolation prize. It was a symbol of my hard-won self-respect. I hadn't let their cruelty define my worth. I hadn't lost my temper or engaged in their petty drama. I had simply presented the truth and walked away. The walk home, usually a familiar commute, felt different that night. It was quieter, more reflective. The city lights, once mocking, now seemed to shine with a newfound clarity. I replayed the evening in my mind, not with bitterness, but with a strange sense of enlightenment. My life, meticulously designed as it was, had just had its most unexpected and perhaps most valuable lesson. In the weeks that followed, the fallout was, predictably, extensive. Liam, my distant cousin, sent me a truly groveling, multi-page email, profusely apologizing for Clara's behavior and assuring me she had no idea about my true identity or the family's wealth. He was clearly desperate to avoid any repercussions for his own reckless association with her. I replied with a single, polite, and very brief sentence, stating that I accepted his apology but saw no reason for further discussion. Clara herself made several attempts to contact me. There were texts, then calls, then even a handwritten letter delivered to my office, reeking of expensive perfume. Each message was a dizzying mix of fervent apologies, exaggerated compliments on my hidden brilliance, and thinly veiled attempts to rekindle something that had never even begun. She had done her research now, undoubtedly, and was trying to claw her way back. I ignored every single one. My assistant, sensing my resolve, expertly filtered her attempts. I would never forgive her. The disappointment in her character was too profound, the calculated cruelty of her words too deeply etched. My friends, bless their hearts, were mortified when they learned the full story from Liam, who, I gathered, was thoroughly interrogated. They apologized profusely for setting me up with such a monster. They immediately started trying to set me up with other amazing women, this time with even more fervent assurances about their inner beauty and genuine character. But I politely declined all further blind dates. I needed a break from the manufactured expectations, the curated personas, the entire charade of modern dating. I prefer to trust my own judgment now, to let connection happen organically. Instead, I plunged myself even deeper into my work. My architectural design firm, Thorne and Associates, was thriving. We secured a few major contracts that month, projects that truly challenged me creatively and ethically. I found immense satisfaction in the tangible reality of bringing innovative structures to life, in shaping the urban landscape, in creating spaces that served a real purpose. My work became a refuge, a testament to what I truly valued: substance, integrity, and genuine creation. I also rediscovered old passions. I spent more time sketching in my private studio, not for clients, but for myself, exploring abstract forms and light. I started volunteering at a local community art center, mentoring young aspiring designers from underserved neighborhoods. These were the pursuits that truly enriched me, that brought me genuine joy, far removed from the superficial world Clara inhabited. This entire experience became a powerful, albeit painful, lesson. Before Clara, I might have been swayed by external appearances, by the allure of a stunning woman who ticked all the superficial boxes. I might have even tried to make it work with someone like her, overlooking red flags for the sake of companionship or societal expectations. But her blatant disdain, her quick judgment based on a fabricated income, stripped away all pretense. It showed me in the most brutal way that true value lies not in external appearances or material wealth, but in integrity, humility, and genuine human connection. I made a silent vow to myself. I would find a woman who saw me for my genuine character and kindness, someone who appreciated my quiet strength, my passion for design, my sometimes awkward sincerity. Not for a fabricated income or a hidden fortune. I wanted someone who would truly see me, James, the man, not James Thorne, the CEO or the heir. I wanted someone truly good on the inside, someone whose soul shone brighter than any diamond, unlike shallow individuals like Clara. My experience was a stark reminder that beneath the polished veneer of New York society, true character reveals itself in moments of perceived weakness. And sometimes, the most humiliating public failures lead to the most profound personal triumphs. I was grateful for the lesson, painful as it was. It had saved me from a life built on an illusion and set me on a path to find a connection that was real, authentic, and truly worthy of the architecture of a good life. And so, James's story of a disastrous blind date transformed into an unexpected journey of self-discovery and clarity concludes. His experience reminds us that true worth shines from within, and that integrity is the most valuable currency of all. If James's quiet strength and his pursuit of genuine connection resonated with you, If his lesson in character inspired you to look beyond the superficial, please consider giving this story a like. Your support helps us share narratives that champion authenticity and true human value. For more captivating stories about unexpected revelations, the complexities of modern relationships, and characters who find their own path to self-respect, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We genuinely invite you to comment below with your thoughts on James's journey, your own experiences with judging or being judged, or any insights this tale may have sparked within you. We truly value your feedback and appreciate every single comment. Thank you for joining us on James's unforgettable lesson in the city that never sleeps. We look forward to connecting with you again.